Moving forward, let's continue with our second speaker of the night. We have with us here today, Vioree Brandon-Nettlesford. Vioree is not only a powerful speaker, but also a transformational life and video coach who has dedicated her life helping others overcome their mental roadblocks. In her inspiring talk, she will guide us through the art of making the hardest challenges in his life seem like a breeze. Let's give her a round of applause.
Good afternoon, everyone. Good afternoon, everyone.
Good afternoon.
Okay, so this is going to be very interactive, okay? You ready?
Yeah.
All right, shake it off, let's go. As soon as they get my slides up. But I'm excited to be here. Are you guys excited to be here tonight?
Yes.
I need a little more enthusiasm. Are you excited to be here tonight? All right, so my name is Vioree Brandon-Nettlesford, and let me ask you a question. By the show of hands, how many of you have ever been in a situation where you found yourself asking the question, this is simple, so why is it so hard to do?
Yep.
All right. I know that's been me. Truth be told, even until today. Becoming a two-time best-selling author, transformational life and widow coach, is simple. You pick up a pen and a piece of paper, and you begin writing, right? Well, the concept of becoming an author is simple, but the execution of becoming a writer becomes difficult because of our human connection to our reasoning. M.K. Gandhi says, your beliefs becomes your thoughts becomes your words becomes your actions become your habits becomes your values, and your values becomes your destiny. Today, I'm going to show you how it may be hard, but it's simple. I'm going to be giving you the tools in which you can begin evaluating your 1, reasonings, 2, systems, and 3, connections. But first, I'm going to be sharing with you 2 personal but transformative scenarios on how our reasoning has a direct effect on the systems that we create. Ultimately, the connections that we form in our lives. Growing up in foster care from the age of 2, living with my grand aunt, which was considered kinship, was interesting. One day, I walked in her room to ask her what some may be considered simple. But before I did that, I counted. 1, 2, 3. I conjured up enough courage, pushed open the door, walked in, saw her, and began counting again. 1, 2, 3. Then I asked, Aunt Hazel, can I call you Mommy? She replied nonchalantly, sure, why not? I remember leaving her room that day thinking to myself, that was it? Fast forward to when I was 30 years old, raising 3 small children. I know I look 30, but no. When I was 30 years old, raising 3 small children, I was standing in my bedroom and I saw my daughter's shadow outside of my door. I said, Jada, what are you doing? She came inside hesitantly with the look of worry on her face, and she was talking to herself. I said, Jada, what are you saying? She said, Mommy, I was counting because I wanted to ask you something. It was at that moment I realized this kid is just like me. It was also at that moment that I realized that I had developed an unhealthy system based on my reasoning. And because of our connection, I passed them down to my daughter. Now, how many in this room have ever made the statement, I'm never going to be like my parent when I grow up? Well, you lied to yourself. We mimic these behaviors because of our connection and our reasoning with our parents. And we cannot avoid the fact that they passed them down to us. Now let's take a step back. What does reasoning really mean? Well, the action of thinking about something in a logical, sensible way. Well, then, of course, I had to go look up the word logic, and that simply means reasoning conducted or assessed according to strict principles of validity. While exploring the concept of why are the simple things the hardest, I couldn't avoid asking myself, is there a right or wrong answer to our reasoning? Or is it just the way we view tasks based on our logic? Some may respond to not completing a task like this. It was the way I was raised. Others may respond to it like this. It was my childhood traumas. I wasn't validated as a kid, or I was always considered the overachiever. And then others may respond like this. It was my adult traumas. I lost my job, or some of you in the room can relate. I broke up with my boyfriend, or I broke up with my girlfriend. Sounds familiar? Well, we lean into these responses not because we feel like we don't have the ability to complete the task, but we overthink, we procrastinate, and the biggest roadblock of them all. You ready? Imposter syndrome. I know. I deal with that too. I created a system to approach my aunt based on my reasoning, which was rooted in rejection. I was overthinking my approach because I was often told no. And that planted the seed of low self-esteem and lack of validation, resulting in me developing an unhealthy system that I passed down. Ultimately, becoming counterproductive reasoning. When we begin to examine, I know another aspect of overcoming roadblocks is a direct connection with our tribe. Connections are often developed based on our reasonings. And it determines how you view yourself and your future. And these are indicators. These are indicators of what your future will look like. Connections. And ultimately, you'll find yourself connecting with those that think like you, that walk like you, and talk like you. And over time, you begin to reflect on each other. Now, I know most of you are sitting there thinking to yourselves, what does any of this have to do with me overcoming mental roadblocks? Well, when we begin to examine our reasoning by exploring our thoughts, by talking them through with someone we trust, and exploring the very foundation of our beliefs, we'll begin to understand why we process our strict principles the way we do. When we begin to examine our systems by being willing to identify, unlearn, and reset, it motivates us to dismantle barriers and create bold, healthy boundaries. And lastly, when we begin to examine our connections, we control our thoughts, and our reasonings become clearer and more objective, and our systems become more defined. And this will help you develop healthy, future-based connections. Say it with me. Small steps are better than no steps at all. So, be a better listener. Be a good listener. Be authentically you. Move beyond the surface and dig a little deeper in who you want to become. The habits that you want to create. And the connections that are valuable to you. These are all ways that we can overcome mental roadblocks. What is leading you to becoming bold enough to break generational norms? What is leading you, I'm going to say that again, to becoming bold enough to break generational norms and develop systems, healthy systems, brilliant systems, to developing future healthy connections? As a transformational life and widow coach, I hear this often. Life is hard. Transformation is hard. Forward movement is hard. I'm not going to lie to you. It can be. But if you understand your mental roadblocks and make a decision of shifting your mindset and your thought process, the hard things become simple. And that's a choice. And the choice is yours. So, I did it. You can too. Do it with me. Control, Alt, Delete. Now reset. Thank you.